This is the Son of the Law podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to the Son of the Law podcast. I'm your host, Jay Christopher. I want to thank our sponsors before we get started. Complete Auto Service in Richmond, Cutting Edge Landscapes in Lawson, and the Lawson Review, your hometown newspaper right here in the 64062. This episode is brought to you by Complete Auto Service Center. If you've ever gone with the cheapest auto repair only to deal with the same problem again, you already know cheap isn't value. At Complete Auto Service Center, value means fixing it right the first time. Every visit includes a full inspection by experienced, certified technicians, plus a clear report that shows what's good, what needs attention right now, and what can wait. That means fewer surprises, smarter decisions, and a vehicle you can actually trust. And they don't waste your time. Your vehicle is inspected the same day, and they contact you quickly so you're never left wondering what's going on or what comes next. I've known Mark and Amanda for years. They've built a shop that treats customers like family, and family that stands behind their work with quality parts and a 36-month, 36,000-mile warranty. So before that small issue turns into a big repair, make Complete Auto Service Center your first call. Visit CompleteASC.com or stop by 718 Woolard Boulevard in Richmond. Complete Auto Service Center. Complete maintenance, complete repairs, complete peace of mind. This episode is brought to you by Cutting Edge Landscapes in Lawson, Missouri. Spring is almost here, and if you're ready for a lawn that actually turns heads this year, now's the time to call Cutting Edge Landscapes. I've trusted them with my own yard, and I can tell you firsthand, the results speak for themselves. Thicker grass, richer color, a lawn that looks professionally cared for because it is. Right now, they're offering a limited time early bird special. When you sign up for all 5 rounds of their professional lawn treatment program, you'll get 50% off aeration or 1 full application absolutely free. It's your choice. And they don't just do lawn treatments. Cutting Edge Landscapes handles everything. Custom landscaping, beautiful hardscapes, sprinkler systems, all completed by licensed professionals who take pride in every detail. With over 40 years serving our community, they've built a reputation for quality work and fair pricing that you can trust. Spring schedules fill up fast, so don't wait. Call Kent and Brandon today, 816-580-3343, or visit callcuttingedge.com. Cutting Edge Landscapes. Your lawn will thank you. This episode is brought to you by the Lawson Review. Since April 8th, 1881, one thing has never stopped in Lawson, Missouri, the local newspaper. From the very first printing of the Lawson Gazette to today's Lawson Review, this is the county's oldest newspaper with uninterrupted publication. Generations have lived it, written it, and read it week after week. The Lawson Review isn't just news. It's school events, local sports, city decisions, community voices, and the stories that may not make the big city headlines, but matter most right here at home. A subscription is just $29 for 1 year or $51 for 2 years. It's an affordable way to support local journalism and stay connected to your community. Contact the Lawson Review at lawsonreview@gmail.com. Visit at 405 North Pennsylvania, Lawson, Missouri, or call 816-296-3412. The Lawson Review, your hometown paper, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Thank you also to you for supporting the show. You are why we do this and what it's all about. Don't forget, message us for merch on Instagram or Gmail at sonofthelaw@gmail.com. We still have t-shirts. We still have 3 styles of Richardson hats. And looking at Derek's hat right now, he's due for an upgrade.
It's well loved.
It is. It's fantastically dirty. Mm-hmm. And they say ain't nothing cool till you wear the new off.
That's right.
So that's probably the coolest hat I've seen in a minute.
I got you.
Thank you. Don't forget, share the show across all platforms, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, your favorite podcast player, and encourage people to follow the show and turn those notifications on. That way you can be ready for the next episode. As a reminder, Lee's lovely wife, Lee's here as well, Jessica, little teeny tiny baby Jessica, she said, I don't have a podcast that's dropping on Monday right now. So I need you to drop every other Monday so I can be ready. Or that never miss a Monday workout. Okay, let's just jump right in. Joining me in my home on a Saturday morning, just to kind of set the scene for everybody. 7 a.m. It is maybe 75 degrees outside. Nice, cool summer morning on a weekend, Saturday. And this was the only time that we could probably get together. I recently, I think it was it the Adventurers podcast with the, I believe it was Lee's wife, Matt's wife. They were here at 7.
It was an early morning one.
On a Saturday morning. Yeah, I think that's what happens when you get together so early. Or no, was it that one? I think it actually might have been your wife, Derek.
No, she was here on early morning as
well.
well.
I think that was it, because the Adventurers one we did a little later. But it was definitely an early morning, and we talked about wonderful things, but we also talked about how this is the only time that works for young families. So anyway. And that whatever we're going to do. Let's just move on. Let's do a quick host introduction. Lee, Derek, Matt, great dads, involved, servant leaders, deacons in our church, 3 introverts. I try to think of other things. It's very difficult. I'm going to let you guys describe yourself, but we've talked a little bit about the difference between introverts and extroverts. Matt's got a very good description for that. You remember what you said when you were on the show, Matt?
No.
I think it was something to the tune of we like to do everything everybody else does, only we like to do it alone.
Yep, that's accurate.
All right. Derek, let's start with you. Let's introduce yourself. Quick life story, born and raised, your family, how people might know you, and we'll work around the table.
Sure. Derek Gunther, 28 years old.
28.
The young buck around this table, some may say. Grew up here in Lawson. Moved here in 2nd grade, actually. Before that was Florida, where the majority of my family came from. My lovely wife has been on the podcast before, Preslee, and people know me grew up here, played sports here, know a lot of people around town, so a lot of people to say hi to, and we're out and about. So,
all right, tell us about your kids.
3 girls, 1 on the way.
Woo!
So we have a full household. A lot less testosterone than I thought there was going to be when we imagined a family way back when. But we are very happy and blessed. So
right on. Girls are amazing.
They are.
This isn't a prepared question, but those of us who have boys and girls are much easier. They say, I don't know. They say girls are much easier, younger, and more complicated as they get older. And boys are much more difficult, younger, and much easier or simpler as they get older. I would never go so far as to say any child is easy to raise.
We have the benefit of we have 3 nephews that are right around the same age group. So I can see them grow up side by side. They are very different.
They are.
The boys have energy that I could not imagine running around my household. The girls are more laid back, but there's emotions to deal with.
Yeah. That's just how God made them. And that's super cool.
Yep.
I remember Mariana, she was like really young, Lola, same. They'd be in their room playing, doing things, isolated or on their own, just super cool just to listen and chill. And the boys, they'd be outside like whacking something with a stick. So, it's like, Don't hit that. Stop, quit jumping.
Yep. Don't jump off that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Welcome in. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll go to Matt.
Matt Wright. I grew up in Maysville, just down the road a ways. I married into Lawson community when I met my wife, Lindsay, in college at Northwest. And just kind of put down roots just north of town here. So we've made this our home and decided this is where we're raising our family.
Love it. Yeah. And your podcast, we learned you have 5 awesome kids. and just reflecting on different podcast adventures. You were also on the show with the Tactical episode. I've gone away from naming the episodes now, but you do make the industry of law enforcement cool.
I appreciate that.
It's like, how do I handle a compliment? I don't know. But your wife was also on the Eduventurers podcast episode when we were talking a little bit about homeschooling and the different processes that you all went through. And so just a reminder for our listeners so that they can go back and check out those episodes. Also on that episode was Lee's lovely wife, teeny tiny baby Jessica, on the Eduventurers episode, the Unfiltered Motherhood episode with Preslee, Gunther, and we know Lee is the fun farmer. So Lee, you want to remind everybody who you are, although you need no introduction.
The fun farmer, sure. Although Matt over here is building a farm of his own, he's got more animals than we do now. You might have to take the title.
It's not a competition.
It's still a competition?
It's
or
not.
It's not a competition? And is the competition number of animals, or is it like types of animals, or is it like how much food you can subsistence, whatever?
I would say it's sustainability or versatility, maybe.
We're looking at you, Matt, to talk. You have to weigh in. You're not safe, remember?
I like diversification in a lot of things, and that's kind of what we're doing with our homestead area.
Are you canning food?
My wife does, yes. She's put away just this year. She got over 12 gallons of tomatoes. And last year I know she made a bunch of spaghetti sauce, which was awesome to have, like fresh tomato spaghetti sauce in the middle of winter.
Oh yeah.
And then other things in the garden, onions and some staples like that. But we can't survive on tomatoes and garlic and onions all year, so we need a little protein as well. So we have chickens that produce eggs, and we are raising feeder hogs. We did that last year, and then we did it again this year, and we just got into sheep as well.
Oh, sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds so excited.
Stuart Olinger, my brother from another mother, he used to raise sheep, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. He shared with me he had to buy dogs and all kinds of stuff to protect the flock. What's the name? Like
a herd dog? Oh, Anatolian Shepherd.
Anatolians, yeah. He had
Great Pyrenees.
Yeah, he had 2 of those. And those dogs were like, it was almost like skittish when they were around people, but apparently they will tear up a coyote.
I believe it.
Or coyote, so they say here in
I think my kids would try to ride it if they had one of those.
Right. Well, that'd be the good thing. The dog would, I think, protect the kids. So that's comes with territory. Anything else we need to know about you, Lee? You got, how many kids you got?
4 kids.
Do you have one on the way?
That's an odd question.
I don't know. Well, just this is where you want to break that news. I mean, I'd love to hear it. Let our listeners know before you know, or other people know.
No news to share. No.
Dang.
Yeah, nice try.
All right. Well, thank you all. I want to start with rapid fires. And again, my goal today is to get you into trouble. I want you to say polarizing things that you'll have to explain to your wives when you get home. Well, this is what I meant. I'm really sorry.
I do that on the daily, Chris. I'm ready.
It's like I used to decide that my life was super stressful based on how many times I apologized during the day. And so that was like a good litmus test of if I'm saying I'm sorry more than I'm saying anything else, like I need to make some changes. We'll try to take it easy on you. Now, having said that, the first rapid fire question, we're going to go through these rapid fires very quickly. I have a lot because people enjoy them. Okay. It's also worth mentioning to our listeners that the episode that we did with Chris and Cherith Weir where they didn't have any of the notes. I've done that again. 3 30s, 28 to 30s, dads hanging out, going to talk about their families, going to talk about their life, their lifestyle, philosophies, things of that nature. But I've given them no notes to ready. So whatever you're going to get this morning is what it is. This is what it is. There's, these aren't prepared answers, nothing scripted. And I don't know. I hope people identify with that. I think they do. I've gotten some really great feedback. So we'll start with a very first, very polarizing, hot topic question. Having watched your wives give birth, do you secretly think you could do it?
Absolutely not.
No.
Not a chance.
Come on.
I say all the time, if it was up to me to have kids, we would have had one, and that would be it. I'd say, well, we did it. On to the next thing.
Yep, next.
Prior to our first being born, I would have thought I could do anything. And then watching that, all the nursing staff and the doctors during the birth immediately snapped their heads at me because I was about to pass out from what I was watching. It's probably not the best move.
Nope.
Can't do it.
That's awesome. 2-sentence response. Okay, this is a 2-sentence response. When was the last time you were disrespected? First sentence. How did you handle it? Second sentence. Who wants to take that one? When was the last time you were disrespected? How did you handle it?
By a child?
Anyway, just, you tell me. You tell me. These are wide open. You interpret them how you want.
If my 7-year-old son speaks back to my wife with a sassy response, that would be disrespectful. And him and I had a conversation.
Okay. Yeah, we had a conversation.
Indeed.
Others?
Mine would probably be kids as well.
Really?
It's not a frequent or a routine thing, but just part of, steering them in the right direction. I mean, these are things they have to learn. They're not born knowing how to be respectful to adults.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing our best. And most of the time, we're the ones that take the brunt of the disrespect. But hopefully, they're learning from that. And when they go out in the world, they're at least, respectful enough to get along.
As a law enforcement officer, I would have assumed your example would have come from a perp. Or, somebody you were talking with at work. But
yeah, that's just kind of assumed all the time. It doesn't even affect me.
That's right. How about you, Derek?
I would agree with children. I try to handle disrespect with respect as much as possible to show that is the proper way of handling the situation when they get in those as well.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Does a man need to wash his hands after going number 1 outside?
No.
There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. What is it? And why? Do you want to justify your
Follow-up question. What's he doing directly after that?
Oh, okay.
If he's doing something important directly after that, why is he taking a leak outside?
Maybe what he's doing is outside and it's important. Maybe he's cutting down a tree or something.
Well, I'm just not shaking hands with some guy after that.
Other thoughts?
I'm gonna go with the answer should be yes.
He should wash his hands?
Should wash his hands.
Should wash his hands outside. Well,
I think generally a man should wash his hands more often than he probably does.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Way down.
I'm just as guilty as the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
But
the
correct answer is yes.
Yes. What we should do and what happens are two different things.
That's right. I got other stuff I got to get to, man. I'm working on the car. I'm not worried about a germ or
if I'm going to feed the pigs directly after, then what's the point? I'll just do it when I'm done feeding the pigs because I'm more likely to catch something from them than I am from myself.
Yeah.
Urine is sterile.
That's true.
I mean,
we've learned through
Clip that.
That's right.
He's like, bank. Bank, take one. Yeah, we've learned through watching Bear Grylls that you can actually drink your urine from a snake's skin up to 7 times before it becomes too toxic. The urea content in human, urine is like 7% the first time it comes out. The rest is just water.
Hydrating.
That's right. What is something you are doing in your life right now that is hard that people don't see or notice?
That's a good question.
It doesn't have to be super crazy in the answer, but do you have any initial thoughts? Matt, we talked about you getting up and feeding the animals and working out every day. Is that discipline hard? People don't see that.
Yeah, initially it's once you're in the routine of doing what other people would consider hard things, it no longer seems like you're doing a hard thing. It's just part of their routine. Once you have 5 kids, people are shocked all the time. And they're like, "Oh, I don't know how you do that." And I'm like, "Well, I don't really remember before 5 kids."
That's right.
But I've been getting up at 5:00 and working out and taking care of our little homestead before everyone gets up for so long. I don't see it as doing a hard thing now. It's just what I do in the morning.
Mm-hmm. You've chosen it. That's your lifestyle, and that's the way it is. Other thoughts?
We recently did an addition on our house,
Mm.
and you can see it's up, but there's a lot more work that needs done to it. So from the road, people honk or wave if I'm on the roof or something, but most of those man hours aren't done there. So a lot of work that gets poured into that.
Yeah, getting up, going to work, coming home, and working. There's a what's the old adage or expression? The cobbler has holes in his shoes, something like that, right? I think the cobbler or the peddler, whatever, is a shoemaker.
Yeah, I've heard the cobbler's kids need shoes too.
Yeah, it's probably it. My dad, famously in my household, very high quality, skilled general contractor. He'd come home and talk about how just because I can do it doesn't mean I want to do it or choose to do it. That's another story. Anything for you, Lee?
I would say intentionally parenting.
Okay.
If you wanted to, you could pop your kids in front of a screen or, and just let things ride. But if you want to, and if you have a vision for how you want them to be as an adult, then it takes intentionality. And oftentimes that happens at home.
Yeah.
Most 95% of it happens at home.
Yeah. That's where they're spending their time.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
What was the last book you read or want to read? And what did you learn or what do you hope to learn from it? Are we reading much these days?
Does fiction count?
Yeah. Any book. Any book. You can you were entertained. That's fine. These are rapid fires.
The one I finished recently was called 12 Ordinary Men. You ever heard of that one?
I mean, I'm gathering you're talking about
It's a
12 disciples.
An overview of the 12 disciples with references to what we know about them in the Bible. Just facts. We know that certain of them were fishermen. We know we know some of their careers. We know some of their kind of life history or where they grew up, and we know for a fact that all of them were unextraordinary. And it was kind of cool to see certain things of myself in each one of like, oh, that's, I could never do big things because of whatever, fill in blank. But they all had their, the reasons that they should not have been picked to be a disciple, but yet their weaknesses were used as strengths. It wasn't a long book. I mean, just took me maybe a week to read if I, just doing a little bit at night. But I really enjoyed it. It was a cool overview of kind of a backstory of some of the people we hear about, but yet don't really know.
Very good. What was your fiction one? Derek, you got one?
It was a Star Wars spinoff about Darth Bane. It was interesting.
Interesting.
Learned more about the dark side.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I would ask you questions about that if I cared.
That's fair. I'm not even that much into Star Wars these days.
I know, right?
It was an interesting book, though.
Going, Derek?
I'll box myself into the nerd category as well here. I recently read the first Lord of the Rings book.
Oh, really?
Well done.
And yeah, in my mind, I thought we're going to be boom, boom, boom. But you're 250 pages into the first 15 minutes of the movie. So eye-opening for me. So,
Oh, wow. Okay. So as I've never read them,
No.
I've watched all the movies, but so you're 250 pages in,
roughly, yeah.
and that equates to the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Yep. A lot more detail.
Clearly.
Yep. Yep.
Early on in our marriage, Carissa read them all, and then she got so geeked out over it. She read like the Silmarillion, and there's all these other, like, whenever they talk about how, there's people who have invented the Elvish language and talking in that way. And
I'm not that into it.
yeah, that's awesome. Let's see, what's next? Have you ever blamed the kids for something that wasn't actually their fault, but yours?
Farts all the time. And it's funny to see their eyes light up.
That's the perfect answer. One I completely didn't expect.
It'd be easier with boys, I might add.
Right. I don't know, dude. Some girls are nasty.
Well, I've definitely done that jokingly as well. It's worth it. That's a dad rite of passage right there.
Matt's just sitting over there
I
like,
forgot what the question was.
no, yeah, I know, right? It's like, have you ever done something but blamed it on the kids, basically?
I don't know. We have the ability to use our kids as an excuse for a lot of things. I mean, if we're late somewhere, it's probably accurate that it is the kid's fault, but really it's our responsibility to get them out the door and there on time.
That's fair. That's fair. The classic T-shirt that's out there, that expression about I can't do something because my kid has practice, or that's it's not a lie, but it's not 100% the truth too. Depending on how you look at it. In the spirit of these questions, sometimes I put them out there because I've done something, and my answer to this was when Carissa would buy fruit snacks for the kids when they were very young, I would eat a lot of them.
I was literally about to say fruit snacks.
And so I would eat the snacks, and she'd be like, "Where are these snacks going? Or how many did you give to the kids?" I'm like, "Well, I gave one this one, I gave one that one." She
So
never.
did you come clean?
I don't know. Well, I didn't really need to. She never really asked, and so it wasn't like I was lying, but
Lying by omission.
I just, that's probably true. What is the word that you can use in an argument that will send your wife into orbit? An example, whatever.
Calm down.
Calm down.
Calm down.
Calm down, Preslee.
You said that and you're live today?
I wouldn't tell Preslee to calm down.
It's a no-no. It's a no-no.
He's like, that's a no-no.
Don't do it.
I don't know that there is. I haven't experimented too much with that on purpose, but I just don't know that she has that personality. She's pretty even-keeled most of the time. It would be hard. It's hard to rattle her.
She's pretty.
Yeah.
So when she gets fired up, I heard she just goes for a walk. She just takes the break. Do you guys fight? Do you guys fight at all?
No, not really.
Very cool.
It seems like we have all these external things, and it's not like our life is harder than anyone else. Most of our battles are external, and so we just try to face them together. So we're on the same team, and there are times where we try to remind each other that, like, hey, same team here. Let's solve this problem together instead of arguing about anything.
That's very encouraging, Matt. Thank you. You're not going to get yourself in trouble saying something like that, bud.
It's accurate.
It is. Lee, you got one?
No, we don't have much in the way of arguments
No
either.
calm down?
No. No.
My example was whatever.
Mm.
You know, we get to the point where it's like, we've talked through this. I need a break. Whatever. And it goes up like a whizzer. It's all good. What food disagrees with you so much that it causes quote unquote issues?
Everyone started looking at me.
Oh, I didn't think about that, Derek.
Gluten and I disagreed for a while.
Okay.
I'd say the processed foods these days I try to avoid if possible.
Okay.
I don't drink pop anymore.
No pop?
No. And
You used to be a Dr. Pepper guy, yeah?
Oh yeah, Code Red Mountain Dew. Working at the
There it
golf
is.
course growing up during the summers, mowing greens, he stopped by the clubhouse, get half price on snacks. I could get a frosted honey bun and a Code Red Mountain Dew for 75 cents. Did that every morning. It was terrible.
Deal.
Yep. Now, whenever I drink pop, though, I just feel like garbage after.
Yeah.
Whenever I hit 30, there was a direct correlation between how much water I drank and how I felt during the day.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Excellent answer. Matt?
Probably Oreos. I still love Oreos, but it used to be, so like Friday or Saturday night will be our, like, okay, we're getting cookies or we're getting ice cream or something, and we'll just sit there and eat on them, for a Friday and Saturday night. And that's just kind of our treat to ourselves, but after the kids go to bed. But I think we selected Oreos so many times over the last few years that maybe I've reached my lifetime limit.
He's like, no more Oreos.
And I still really like them, but every time I have some, I'm like, I think I'm still at my limit.
Yeah.
So we had to switch to Chips Ahoy.
That's awesome. Do you dunk? Do you dunk the Chips Ahoy?
That's the whole point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a dunker.
Who eats Chips Ahoy dry?
Well, there's the great question. These questions about how you make a PB&J, process is everything. I'd like my process for eating a Chips Ahoy cookie is I break it into 2 pieces, eat 1/2, sip of milk, let the dunking experience happen in the mouth, and then you swallow, take another sip of milk to wash it out, rinse and repeat.
It's like passive dunking, not active dunking.
Thank you. Yeah, that's
right. But see, if you don't have milk with them, that's why they make the chewy variety. The Chips Ahoy Chewy. Have you ever had those?
I have, but
they don't dunk the same, but they're better without milk. The other ones, the originals, are more crumbly and dry, but that's because they absorb the milk. So.
Do you ever dunk in coffee?
No.
No. Lee's like hard pass.
With Oreos, I put 8 Oreos in a glass and pour milk over them and then eat it with a spoon. 8 is the right number. If you eat more than that, you'll feel like garbage. This is for me. And less than that's just not enough. And also, the Oreo package from Sam's Club, it's not in a plastic, peel away deal. It comes in a box with sleeves, and there's 13 Oreos in a sleeve. I eat 8 of them. Jessica eats 5 of them. That's the key to a happy marriage.
That's the perfect amount. That's how you know you got it worked out together.
That's right.
That's awesome. What is one piece of advice for a young man not yet married but working on it? This is a rapid fire. Quick.
The most unrealistic expectation you can have is for someone to meet an expectation that you have not voiced out loud.
Thank you. Matt?
Get over yourself. It's not about you anymore once you find someone.
Okay.
You can still do things for you, but the whole goal is, the whole tone of your life has shifted from that point. And that's not a bad thing. I love the way my life has gone.
Yeah.
It's now not about me. It's about my wife and about my family.
Yeah. Derek?
Jesus is the first priority in that scenario.
Yeah.
Centering your relationship with him before you're looking for an added partner in this.
Very good. Thank you. I might add just my own piece of advice, right? I think it's a good time. We have people in our lives that we see getting ready to take this step and whatnot. And mine is faithful with little, faithful with much, right? If you're not going to take care of your, in your case, Derek, spiritual health, if you're not going to take care of your financial health, if you're not going to take care of whatever now, it will never be easier to take care of these little things. And everything here on out is magnified and amplified. So, be faithful with the little things, learn how to make those decisions now so that later you can. So, okay, these are all true, false from here on out. Quick. True or false, video games are okay to play for men?
True.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
True.
Yeah, fair. A dad who provides financially but is rarely at home is still a good dad?
False.
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 Okay. Your marriage should come before your children?
True.
True.
Fast. Love it. Kids today are too protected from failure?
True.
Whose kids?
Kids today are too protected from failure.
Not mine.
Okay. Every kid should know how to mow a lawn, change a tire, unclog a toilet before leaving home?
True.
Yeah.
Most parents are more interested in their kids being happy than becoming responsible adults.
True.
A father should be willing to disappoint his children.
Yeah.
True.
Father, not friend.
Okay. Competitive sports teach kids more about life than most classrooms.
Not in my classroom.
So that's a false?
That's a false then. Depending on what the classroom is, though.
I'm riding the fence on this one.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. I love it. Yeah. And I want to encourage, we'll get into some questions, I want to encourage varied perspectives, right? Like you guys are three awesome dads doing it your own way, doing different things, right? Living kind of by the book, but also a little bit countercultural here, right? And even a little differently than one another lives, It's not I think it's interesting that you're all dressed about the same still. Like literally, if you can see my view right now, they're all wearing like a green shirt with a hat. They look like they planned it, but I'm sure they didn't.
No.
But anyway, there's no wrong answers. I could have pro or con answers for all of these questions. And so, rapid fire again. Family dinner is more important than organized kids' activities.
True.
A boy who gets bullied sometimes needs to learn how to fight.
True.
All boys should be capable of violence.
Parents who never let their kids hear them argue are actually doing them a disservice.
True.
False.
The dead air.
I don't know.
I'm going to say false also.
Okay. Dad should have the final word when mom and dad can't disagree.
Ooh.
Can't agree.
True.
True.
A family vacation isn't vacation if dad has to drive 14 hours.
False.
It's not about me anymore.
I don't mind the drive. I'd rather drive than ride. So,
Oh, yeah.
we're picking, it's vacation. Ranch dressing belongs on almost everything.
True. Along with Taco Bell Diablo sauce.
I agree with the first part of that.
A man should own at least one tool he has absolutely no idea how to use.
False.
False.
Really? A tool that you don't have any tools in your shop that you don't know how to use.
Why would you?
It's a paperweight
Because somebody
at that point.
gave it to you, or because it's whatever.
Have you ever received something you don't know how to use that you immediately find a use for it? That's how it is.
I'd like to know what you have that you don't know how to use.
I have a 4-wheel drive adjustment tool that I've never used.
Why?
Because it came with the truck. And I'm like, why would I need to adjust my 4-wheel drive? Like, it's got like a keyed thing, you know.
You know what it's for, though.
I know what it's for, but I've never used it. I don't know how to use it. I know it's got like a ratcheting attachment, so you've got to like tighten or do something with it, but I've just never used it before. For the longest time, I didn't know how to use an oil filter wrench.
You know what we use those for more often than oil filters? Milk jars.
Oh, yeah.
Opening lids?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we buy our milk from a lady down the road, raw milk from the cow. And whatever, maybe it's just her hand because she's strong.
Yeah.
She puts those on tight. She might have a machine that suctions them on there somehow, but those oil filter wrenches are the perfect size for loosening that lid just enough.
Thank you. Good feedback. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so let's get into the main content. That was great. No script, no notes. What comes out is what is. This is the perspective. You guys have not heard these questions. For the sake of full transparency, I did shoot you some concepts last night so that you had some perspective of what we'd be talking about, but you don't actually know the questions. I would like to promote, as we talk through here, varying perspectives. And I'd like for, you to challenge one another, right, on different things. If somebody says something that's interesting to you, ask questions aside, right? Like this to be a case analysis, working conversation. Nobody's got it right. We're trying to figure these things out together. And I believe, like we had with the Chris and Cherith Weir episode, an opportunity to invest in the lives of other people who are kind of in it, help mentors, rally around somebody who is in your shoes or somebody who's coming up and along as you had advice for somebody who's not yet married, and realize that this is all something that we're working through together. So question number 1, we've got 20 questions overall. We can go through them all. I don't know. We'll see. But starting point, what did you believe being a good father would look like before you actually became one? And what has reality taught you? And we don't, as I say, like, just if you've got something on the question, just take it. Because I don't know that we're going to go individually. Everybody has this. Yeah.
Reality has taught me that it is way harder than I originally imagined it.
In what way?
It is difficult to sacrifice your own needs and wants every day and every week and every year for what your kids need and what they want to do. It's difficult to navigate training them. So the burden seems really daunting of like, how do I get these kids ready for the world? I mean, from the things you mentioned, like changing a tire, which my kids are not, they've seen me do things like that, but they're not old enough yet to really do it on their own, but they still love being there. But not only that, but like, how do I teach them about their finances, and how do I teach them, we're homeschooling. So, how do we also teach them the knowledge, just to be able to have a intelligent conversation and understand what others are talking about. And, the more you think, the more daunting it seems of like, how am I going to get these kids ready? But my picture of that before I was a dad was, I had a really good dad growing up, and he was always present and very, very involved in all of his kids' lives. Never missed a sporting event, always took me with him. We were talking the other day about, I have a fencing tool in my toolbox that every time I look at it, I'm like, I remember when we got this. And I think it was 1998, and we built a lot of fence on 40 acres. And I did that with my dad. And now what I know is he could have done that a lot quicker without me, because I see how it is when I bring my kids along to do things. If you want to do it fast, do it by yourself. But that's not the point anymore. So, so I had a really good example growing up, and I thought, I want to do it like that, but it just is not always as simple or straightforward as I thought it was going to be.
Great feedback.
Likewise.
So, yeah, I mean, the example is super important, right? As you've talked through that. I want to, before we leave that, I'd like to talk about, something that you mentioned, the discipline of it, right? Getting up, doing it every day. What did you think it was going to look like? But just before, again, you've got the reality here. It's difficult to do the thing on the daily, but what did you think it was going to look like in your mind's eye? What was the romantic notion of being a dad?
The romantic notion would have been that I think we could all sit here and talk about experiences growing up from a dad or a mom telling us to do something that we didn't want to do. And, us looking back on it now could determine that was good. It was discipline or whatever it was. But I think the romanticized version of being a dad would be like, well, I'm going to make this fun, or I'm going to be the fun dad, or I'm going to do this in a way that my kids want to do it, or, and there's time and place for that.
Yeah.
I think. But just like that would be the romanticized view. Like I'm going to do this in a way that my kids are always engaged and they always want to be there.
Yeah.
And in reality, that's not the way it is.
Yeah. And in reality, it's not like that much.
No, indeed.
Right?
Not.
Yeah. I mean, there's a discipline that comes with all of it. Okay. Well, then the next question, Matt, you kind of led right into it. What did your own father teach you, intentionally or unintentionally, that you're trying to carry into your family?
My dad was not as involved. So going into the thought of having children, that is something I drastically wanted to change. My dad, there's no doubt he loved us, but he was not active with us. So there's no throwing the ball outside or, whatever. I had a brother that did that with me, but never dad. And so having kids, that was a priority I gladly take on, is trying to be as involved in being active with them as I can.
Love that.
Yep.
Other thoughts?
Dad taught hard work and discipline, respect. Respect was a big one.
Not only love for your family, but love for your church community and involvement in your geographic community. Just trying to make our part of the world a better place. Whether that's, attending city council meetings or, like conservation department issues that are important to us because we want to be good stewards of the land, and even just being involved in the legislative process too, of meeting candidates and trying to get to know who you want to vote for, and because these things are important in our community. Is something I saw my dad doing. So,
was that intentional or unintentional? It was just something he was doing, and you followed him along.
It was something he enjoyed being involved in, but also with all the other things that I now know that he was involved in. I mean, when you're a kid, you don't really have a big picture of what's going on, but community involvement was something he enjoyed, but also saw importance in. And then he would take me along, like hanging up the election signs for, one of his friends that was running for judge. I remember riding in the truck and driving T-post and hanging up signs with him and the judge.
Vote for me.
And, why would he take a 8 or 9-year-old kid with him? I'm not really that helpful, but I think it was just something that he's like, hey, these things are important. So
very good.
Included me on things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The ride along is a very important part of it.
Lots of memories riding in the truck.
What is something about raising young kids that nobody adequately prepared you for?
The noise.
Okay. It's loud. For real.
Yeah, it's always loud. And I generally am a pretty quiet person, and I like quiet and solitude,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't had that for a while now. So
They say once you start having kids, you that's the last time you're really going to get a good night's sleep because of either loud or interruptions or worry at some point, just so.
Jessica would say the last time I got a good night's sleep was last night.
You sleep through everything, huh?
I'm a heavy sleeper.
Something about raising young kids that nobody adequately prepared you for.
Bodily fluids.
Oh, just everywhere,
There's
all the time.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Potty training. Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to teach a kid how to blow their nose. Impossible. I want you to take all the air that's in your, what's a lung? How do you, it's a hard thing to teach. Right? I want you to expel all the air out these two holes in your face.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. The logic and the language used to develop the logic isn't developed yet. So you're trying to explain a concept that they're not there. And it's so simple, but so complicated at the same time till you learn it.
Yeah. Little things like that you don't expect that you have to teach somebody.
Yeah.
But I didn't come out of the womb knowing how to blow my nose. May have been born in the dark, but it wasn't yesterday.
Yeah. Born at night, not last night.
That's right.
How do you lead your family when you're still figuring out how to be a husband, father, provider, and in some cases even a man yourself?
Blind confidence.
Blind confidence.
No, not really.
Fake it till you make it.
I was going to say, you got to be okay with being wrong sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit there and not move. You have to take a step forward in whatever direction you might be going in, and take accountability and be okay with that accountability.
there's a lot of reliance upon God. There's a lot of reliance upon other people that we see as mentors or helpers.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, having that community and we're lucky to have family close,
Mm-hmm.
that we can kind of lean on, but it's in some ways there is a confidence even if you don't know what you're doing, because your family needs you to make a decision
Mm-hmm.
and to be confident in that and to figure it out together. Even if it's the wrong decision, we're doing it together.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully the person making the decision, the dad, learns from that and can make better decisions in the future.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a biblical example of what manhood, being a husband, being a father should look like too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a source of truth. This is where I get to, like everybody always talks about, when you talk about marriage and you hear in scripture talking about wives submit to your husbands, the thing that everybody leaves out after that in today's world is the husbands laying down their lives for their wives.
Mm-hmm.
And just like Christ did for the church. And that was a daily thing, on the daily, you should be laying down your life. And I fail at that every single day.
Yeah.
But laying down your life, and literally Christ died for the church,
Mm-hmm.
and what that should look like on the daily for a husband to do that for his wife and his family. That is a good picture of how you should proceed.
Yeah. I'd like to push a little bit here, not because you guys haven't provided good answers, but because I think there's a nut here that needs to be cracked. Individually, being a good husband, 1, being a good father, 2, being a provider, 3, and that can look a lot different in different households with multiple incomes or whatever, right? So providing is a relative term. And then handling yourself as just a man in society. To do any one of those things individually is tough, right? To you quote your Yulee, laying down your life individually or daily is hard, right? Producing is hard. The discipline of getting up and doing things is hard. But leading a family when you're still figuring out how to do those things individually is really, really hard. So I just reframing the question a little bit like that, I'd like to just ask it again. How do you lead your family when you're still trying to figure out how to be a husband, father, provider, and man yourself? How do you do that? Knowing that there's inherent competition between those items, or is there?
I've had that conversation with Lindsay regularly. It seems like the more effort I put into being a provider, making money, working overtime, increasing our homestead workload by adding critters to it, it feels good. Hey, we're doing big things here. I'm providing for my family. But then at the end of that week, I realize I haven't spent the same amount of time with my kids. They may have done something and I had to stay home, or I was at work just to get everything accomplished that I thought needed accomplished. So, and not that I should give up those things to go with them all the time either. Seems like a no-win situation sometimes, which is the conversation I have with her at the end of every week. It seems on, I thought I was doing really good in one area, but I neglected another one. Mm-hmm. And it's just because there's only so many hours in the day and there's only so much attention I can give each thing. So where is the balance of trying to be all those things? And the same with being a husband and a father at the same time. Mm-hmm. How do I make time for my wife as well when we've got 5 kids, which, we love them all, but they just require a lot of attention and a lot of time. And then we get to the end of the week and I'm like, oh, hey, nice to see you. Mm-hmm. It's like 10 p.m. and we're both tired. Like, well, I guess I'll just talk to you tomorrow then. So, and that's not the best way to do it either. So, but then we can't neglect our kids by spending time alone all the time. It seems like there's no right answer. Mm-hmm. But I think constantly making those evaluations and adjustments is just how we've navigated this, of knowing it's not going to be perfect, but trying to make time for all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'll echo that. It's one thing to sit over here and say you should lay your life down daily and like what that actually looks like. I think Matt nailed it. You have to constantly reevaluate because at the end of the day or at the end of the week, if you realize that you've put a lot more time and effort into one of those areas and then you find yourself lacking, or a kid is acting out and you realize, well, gosh, I haven't had intentional time with them to talk about this, or again, you dedicate some time to either the kids or, had to stay late at work or whatever. And then you get home and there's a project that you've been wanting to work on and, you have a little bit of daylight before the kids go to sleep. And then you start to go out and you realize, gosh, I haven't talked to Jessica all for 3 days other than texting back and forth occasionally, So then in that moment, having to make the decision like, okay, this can wait. I need to do this. And making the priority, but constantly reevaluating, I think, is important. Yeah.
Derek, anything to add?
I don't think so.
Yeah. One thing I would, I guess, try to understand more still here is, and try to help folks see that there's no shortage of counsel or suggestion that the world offers that will guarantee that you're not going to do it right. Right. So the constant reevaluation is critical. The feeling of, if I don't do this right, I'm a failure or whatever, like all of that is real. Even within the church, right? You need to do a daily a weekly date with your wife. You need to do you need to spend time with each individual kid, right? At some point, the time runs out and you've got burdens of responsibility. And then the kids need to see that. They need to see you loving your wife. They need to see, your wife needs to see you loving your children. There's all these things, and working together, it makes for a really, really, really hard job. I was listening to a podcast with Jim Gaffigan last night, actually. And he said, being a parent is the hardest thing that you're guaranteed to fail at. And I'm like, that's pretty good take on life. What's harder, being a good husband or being a good father?
Yes.
Good answer.
I think it goes back to what I just said with the balance of there are days where I'm a really good husband. Maybe, I don't know. You'd have to ask Lindsay, but there are days where I feel like I'm a really good father. For example, let's say at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, I spent a lot of time with the kids. We played outside. I included them in the projects I had going on. And then as I'm getting in bed, I'm like, oh, haven't even talked to Lindsay for the last, 6 hours. And, during those times, she was also tasked with, the daily things that she does.
Right.
There's a good chance that she made a meal and fed us during that time that I wasn't even paying attention. And just a lot of things behind the scenes, how many loads of laundry did she do while I was out having fun with the kids? And then so then there's that initial feeling of guilt of, oh, well, I didn't help her and I didn't talk to her. And but it works both ways. When I'm doing stuff with her, we feel guilty for not spending time with the kids. So it's just, there's no right answer.
Yeah.
Raising kids is a war zone of sorts, and your wife is your battle buddy. And I think my wife and I have a good amount of grace that we extend to each other in times where we're feeling a little worn thin. But that's all more reason to gather together and, recoup and figure out what we can do better and share time together and kind of hit the reset button as well. So it's give and take for sure.
I hope this isn't all negative to anybody who's considering getting married or starting a family, because it's not. It's the greatest thing you'll ever do, and it becomes aside from telling the world about Jesus, it is the greatest thing that you could ever do. I've realized I'm no longer the main character. Like I am just the main character's father. There were times where I thought I'm going to grow up and do big things, and not that I wanted to be famous or, have some big battle that I won, but you just kind of see yourself as like invincible when you're 18 years old, and you're going to grow up and do great things. And now I realize, like, King David's father, we don't know that much about him, but yet his role was very important. And David got all the credit and all the stories and all the glory. And I'm like, well, hey, maybe I'm just David's father in this, because I'm sending 5 kids out in the world.
Yep.
And I'm hoping to prepare them to do greater things than I could have ever done.
Yeah. We talk around our house that kids are arrows you fire into the future you'll never see. And it's not my quote. I don't remember where I learned it, but it's reasonable. And, I appreciate it. Just to address your comment about whether or not people feel that this is negative. My response to that is, I don't care. Like, I think there's enough here in the reality that I think society will Instagram fatherhood in such a way that you're not adequately or sufficiently prepared for these sorts of things. And so it takes somebody who's doing it like you all are doing it. Again, these are no notes, not scripted here. And I appreciate your candor and honesty as well. Because if you're not saying it, who's saying it? And as I get older, I'm 10, 12, 15 years older than you guys. That's becoming more and more evident every day. So, this is, whether it's negative or not, it's the reality, and that's what we're dealing with. And there's a joy to it. There's a reward to it. There's a benefit to it.
Right. I don't walk around moping about these things all day long.
Absolutely not.
Wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah. To have a kid come up and hug you and say, "I love you, Daddy," like that is the greatest thing ever. And then, we're getting ready for church on Sunday morning or something, and my wife says, "Oh, I like that shirt." I don't know, like, feel like you could just run through a wall after that. I mean, the things that are so encouraging, we should also, we should also mention that those things are there as well, and so much more than the negative.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you guys don't know what any of the questions are. That's not one of my questions. Hadn't planned on going that way. What are times in your married life, in your fatherhood, that are you feel the most encouraged? And I mean, feel free to speak about things that are even, I don't want to say off color, but making love, the opportunity to spend that quality time with your wife, that's an awesome reward. The Bible talks about your wife being a reward for earthly toil. That's a wonderful time. You talked about the hug from the kid. Something that has given me great satisfaction is watching my kid take a tool and use it. You talk about changing the tire or whatever, there's those things make you feel like $1 million. I'll go one more just because I've got the mic. The coaching my kids. I feel more satisfaction coaching my kids than I ever felt playing. And, I'd say those are a couple of examples in my life, but I would say, what are some of yours? When you, as a wife, you guys aren't wives, as husbands, fathers, when are you the most encouraged?
Getting to see the kids, jump into a project that I'm doing and do something, or me ask them to do something and then be excited and, and actually do it and be helpful and see it click in them that they're actually being productive here. Yeah. That's fun. That's fun. And for them to be excited about it and me not forcing them into it, them wanting to be a part of what we're doing.
Yeah. I would say, you're out in a public setting or even at the house, but your kid does something that is unselfish and goes to help someone completely unprompted, and there's no better feeling. We're trying to raise our children on a foundation with principles with that, and they're applying them, and that's a reward in itself, seeing them do those things. So.
Other thoughts? No. Should marriages sometimes come before your children? And what does that actually look like with young kids?
Always.
Yeah. But with young kids, it's tough, right? What's it look like? Are we trying to find time where you can put kids down and do stuff after, be intentional after the kids go to bed? Or are you trying to, find babysitters? Are you trying to get away? What does the marriage look like?
Date nights are important. Intentional time together is important. I remind my children often that they are number 2 and Jessica is number 1. And the Bible is very clear that the husband and wife relationship is a covenant, and it's a picture of Christ in the church. And we have a responsibility to show our children the love of Christ through that relationship. And it comes at the expense sometimes of, okay, we're going to put the kids to bed. They go to bed at 7:30 anyway, but that's an intentional decision. One, they need their rest. They need more sleep than we adults do, right? But also it creates intentional time that Jessica and I can have together. And, you watch our children, you and my sister Carissa, and so that we can go on date nights. And it's intentional, and it takes, any time that you spend with one another is time that you're not spending with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Preslee and I have, we found it difficult. I mean, to plan those times for date nights and to intentionally have those times together where we can just, we're not going off on trips or anything. Like, it's hard to find time for that, but even just go to Liberty to have a bite for supper and come back home. Our oldest is turning 6 this year, and there's not many times that we've gone and done that, just the two of us. But we still try to find times, whether it's walking around the yard or something, that we can just spend together. But between the two of us, we share a deep love for these children as well. And we'll go somewhere and be like, kind of miss the girls right now, because we both do love them, and we have that in common too.
Yeah. Very good. When we asked the true false questions up above, I asked about kids being protected and whatnot. We had various answers. Are parents today too protective of their children, or are kids facing dangers that previous generations didn't have to deal with? Kind of focusing now more on the kids.
Can you repeat the first part of that?
Are parents today too protective of their children, or are kids facing dangers that previous generations didn't have to deal with?
I think each generation faces something different. It seemed like our parents were they would ride in the back window of a car, driving to Florida on vacation, and that was normal. And then somewhere along, when our generation came around, they're like, hey, kids will go through the windshield too, so we should maybe buckle them in.
Yeah.
So in that way, yes, they were protected. But our parents didn't have to deal with the internet, and all the dangers that come with that. There are battles everywhere, and the enemy morphs with every time that you cut off one danger. There's just another backdoor to a different danger.
Yeah, it's a hydra.
Yeah, you're never going to get away from danger and evil. It just exists in the world. We can't get away from it. We can do our best to prepare our kids for physical dangers, such as buckling them in a car seat and telling them not to jump off the roof. But we now have to prepare them for other dangers, whereas buckling in a car seat seems normal for them. It did not seem normal for my parents. But them, every generation, it shifts. And so just trying to keep up with that, I think, is how do you be protective, but also let them learn from mistakes. The balance thing.
Yeah. Back to the balance.
I want them to learn, but it hurts to see them fail. And I need them to fail now while they're under my roof and under my protection, so they know how to fail and they know how to recover, but also to where they can't fail so bad that we can't recover.
Yeah. Let's unpack these in two different questions, right? On the protection side, I was kind of presenting this question in the sense of the way you initially took it, safety seats and things of that nature. Everybody's got Life 360 now. The childhood that I had, I would literally leave in the morning and I would ride my bike sometimes 10, 12 miles away from where I lived. Sometimes I got lost. Asked people for directions, how to get home in Independence, Missouri, mind you, right? I rode to Susquehanna. I rode to Fairmont. These are far away places when you're on a two-wheeler with your best friend, just looking at something cool and new and realizing that left turn, right turn, left turn, right turn. Hey, let's go down there. Where you really have no idea where you are. Now, people are walking there, they don't want their kids crossing the street. They don't want their kids walking down the sidewalk for fear of somebody coming in snatching them or whatever. So, you know, that on the protection side of things, like the physical security side of things, you know, how are we too protective, or are kids facing dangers that generations didn't have to deal with?
I want them to be exploratory and to have their own, to feel like they're on their own, but always under the umbrella of our watch, because I don't want to shield them from wrecking their bike or feeling like maybe I don't exactly know where I am. Those feelings you can learn from those things, but my job is to shield them from the rest of the world, from the evils in the world, not the negative side of learning from your mistakes.
Okay.
I don't want to shield them from that. I want to shield them from the evils in the world.
Yeah.
I guess my counterpoint to that would be, Matt kind of brought it up earlier in the conversation of homeschooling the children and that sort of thing. Whenever Preslee and I were trying to figure out if we were going to homeschool or send them off to public school, that's definitely a factor that we're considering is, you know, if you take into consideration what the girls' daily lives looks like right now, they live a pretty sheltered life in the grand scheme of things. They're definitely, our oldest is 5, so she's not riding her bike 12 miles away, but
Sure.
She's going to church and she's got friends that are in the church, and she homeschools with a co-op that's in the church, and all these families have similar values and the way they're trying to upbring their children, and that is fantastic. We love that. The second side of that coin would be, we can still do that as well, sending them to public school so they do see we live in a fallen, broken world that is abundant in sin, and I think there is a dose of that needs to be seen with the eyes and dealt with, and those experiences needed to happen. That way, when they are under my roof, we can guide them through that, and we're not sending them off when they turn 18 and boom, what's this thing? Like, holy cow, this is a whole new world. So there's a whole reality to that as well. And really that's just equipping them to handle those things.
Perfect. Yeah. Anything, Lee? Let's go to the other half of your then question, Matt. Right. That's the physical side. So then giving them opportunities to fail forward, learn from their lessons, learn from their mistakes. Do kids need more opportunities or more responsibility right now? This is a bit anecdotal, but at the same time, like, you know, you guys are in it trying to figure it out with young kids. Bit philosophical here because it's hard to give a single digit child too much responsibility or whatnot. But again, leaning into being faithful with little, you know, give them little responsibilities now so that they can grow into bigger responsibilities later. You're going to deal with a 6-7-year-old kid now. Eventually that kid's going to drive. Eventually that kid's going to vote. Eventually that kid's going to want to follow in dad or mom's footsteps with their marriage and lifestyle. And do kids today need more opportunities or more responsibility?
A bit of both, I'd say. But I think they need real responsibility. They don't need a fake task that you've given them. They need to have a real responsibility that is productive for the family or productive around, you know. I think they need to have that sense of ownership, because if the first time they have any real responsibility is when they're out of the house or beyond, they won't know how to problem solve it or fail, or, you know. But if you give them a real responsibility, like, yeah, the chickens aren't going to get water if you don't do it, you know, or, you know, something like that. They can visualize what the consequences are, and because we're going to teach them that. But I mean, you can't have any responsibility if they have no opportunity either. So you have to have a bit of both, I think.
Fair.
I think you said it well.
Yeah. Okay, great. How about technology? Talked earlier about, you know, it's, you know, you can put kids in front of a screen and that can be kind of a default babysitter. I'm sure there are statistics out there on the average number of hours a kid spends in front of a screen. Just knowing your all's lifestyles and whatnot, I don't think you're anti-technology at all, right? I mean, we are putting movies and apps and games and things in front of our kids, which is fine. Again, judgment-free zone, but trying to understand too, like where those limits are. How much, not privacy, what age should kids get technology in their lives? And what would make you say absolutely not yet, or that's too much?
Technology in a phone, I would say, in my house will be definitely in the later years when you're going to be off somewhere where you're alone, that sort of thing. I personally don't see it being a beneficial tool for them to have prior to that. There's a lot of different routes you can go down on the phone that can be very hidden from my eyes.
Yeah.
And
are we talking all devices, all across all of whatever presently? So tablets.
We don't
games,
we don't have any tablets.
No
or anything.
tablets, no games, nothing.
No, we try to encourage going out and playing as much as we can.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So
I think there's a benefit for them learning these skills of how technology works, and because it's going to be something they deal with their whole life. It's
Mhm.
only going to increase to where someday we are going to not understand the technology they are using, and they're going to have to come over to my house and reset my VCR because it's blinking.
You said VCR, dude.
I'm an old head.
That's crazy.
And
Do you have a VCR?
no, we don't. But
Lee
do.
still does?
Yep.
Holy crap.
But we also, I've heard it said that when you give your kid a phone, you're not only giving them access to the world, you're giving the world access to them. And so there are ways that we can expose them to technology, and they can understand the benefits of it because they can learn things from it, and it can be a very beneficial tool. And if they are 18 and apply for a job and they don't know how to type, or they don't know how to navigate, a simple internet browser, I mean, they're going to be way behind the curve, and we're not doing our part in setting them up for the career field.
What are some ways that you're allowing technology into your lives presently?
So just this year, one of our oldest, one of the things that is in Mabel's curriculum, which she's in 4th grade this year, it's an online math game, which it's not like you're not gaming with other people. It just, you have to have an internet connection to connect to this website. That she's learning math, but she's also learning how to navigate the touchpad on the computer, and she's learning where the buttons are on the keyboard, so she can type her name and she can type, certain things. We've allowed her to, she really likes, reading and writing. That's always been her strength. And so we've allowed her to just open up like a Word document and type a story, because she's hunting and pecking for where's the letter K, she's learning these things are starting to click, and she's going to get quicker over time. And then we can proceed to maybe some formal, typing training. But right now we're just kind of allowing them to dabble with it. But very supervised, because that computer does have internet access, and we don't want her doing most of the things that computer will do. So it's always in an open area, in a public space, which it's not like our kids have a lot of privacy anyway. They have 4 siblings. So there's always somebody looking over their shoulder. But we just have to be careful with that. And we want them to have exposure, but not to be what the whole thing is about.
Yeah.
Our kids don't have unsupervised time with an iPad or phone or anything like that. My oldest, Sammy, 7-year-old boy, if given the opportunity, would play Mario or some sort of old school video game all waking hours for the day. He is a boy, which I think boys are naturally more selfish than girls. And he would
dedicate his entire being to that.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't allow that.
Yeah.
We treat it like a reward, and he gets to play on the weekend during nap time for a very short amount of time. So he's been exposed to it, and he, has gotten to dabble with it, but not to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
Same with TV shows, or they just don't watch they don't watch a whole lot of TV, but they would rather go outside and play.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the focus that we've put on it. They would rather go outside and play with their siblings if it's nice out. And
yeah, there's a continual struggle here, right? And it's I don't know. I feel like we're still scratching the surface. So I don't know. We'll move on to the next question. But I as they get older and as they get exposed to certain things, and as they, like you said, Matt, as they need technology for different reasons versus, trying to train and show them the way, right? Because you don't want them to depart from it. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. My kids are 22 to 15.
I think adults are still figuring it out.
Sure.
I think it's only really just coming to light,
Yeah.
what social media is for a lot of people. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there's studies coming out now to show that it's not fruitful for even adults,
Mm-hmm.
and what social media brings and how the algorithm is, showing you what you want to see, which is maybe not what you would want to see.
Right. Right. Or should see.
Right.
Yeah. And it may not even be unhealthy, thinking porn or,
Sure.
the world having access to you in like a negative way or whatnot. Recently went on a fly fishing trip and had a wonderful time. It was amazing. And something in the metadata changed my algorithm to where all my social media real stuff is fly fishing videos and fly tying and whatever. And I'm like, hey, that's a really cool way to explore and use my time. And then I'm staring at the phone for 2 hours
Sure.
watching a fly fishing video on how to roll cast.
Right. And that's the problem is we just talked about how to be a husband, father,
Yeah.
all the things that we want to do. And we're talking about how there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, but I got time to watch that.
And that algorithm's goal is to keep you engaged
Yeah.
as long as possible.
yeah.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
If you want to do these other things well.
Yeah. Thank you. That's more the direction I was trying to go. And I think we're getting there. So very good. Anything else on the technology front?
I don't think so.
Okay. Let's talk about raising boys. We'll have the same question for raising girls. What do you believe boys desperately need from their fathers today that they're not getting enough of today? We're talking, and this can be your own kids, but actually, what do you see just boys needing in today's world?
Affirmation.
Affirmation.
From the right places.
Okay.
Your presence. They need to be around you. They need to help you. They need you to help them.
Mm-hmm.
They need your time.
Other thoughts? What does that look like?
Including them in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff we've already covered.
Yeah, it's easy to just go out and do things by yourself, and most of the time I could probably do it faster. But when I do have the presence of mind, and sometimes a nudge or a reminder from my wife of like, hey, your boys would probably love to help you out in the garage with whatever you're working on. I'm like, oh yeah, how come I didn't think of that?
Yeah.
And then you go ask it. You're like, hey, I need some help in the garage. Grab your flathead screwdriver, and their eyes light up, and they will grab that screwdriver and they will hold it until you tell them exactly what to do with it.
Oh, really?
And they love everything.
Not been
They'll
my
hold it
experience.
until you tell you what to do.
I mean,
with
they
it?
will. Yeah, he'll stand there with his flathead screwdriver, like, all right, I'm ready. Just point me and let me go.
Mine will hold it until they realize that the car needs to be washed with the screwdriver.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that boys, I've compared with having like a German Shepherd or a Belgian Malinois.
Mm-hmm.
They need a task,
Yeah.
Or they'll just tear up your furniture.
Yeah. I've heard a bad dog just needs a job.
Yeah,
And
those dogs are high energy.
Yeah.
And they're very task oriented, and they're easy to train. and they want to please. And I've just described everything that my boys are.
Yeah.
They're easy to train. You tell them do something and they will do it, and they will remember how to do it.
Yeah.
And they want to please you, and they're high energy. But if you don't give them a task, they will use that energy to destroy your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the society has spent a lot of time, effort, energy around developing girls, and so much so that the girls in school, the girls in careers, the girls in whatnot are outpacing men in about every metric, and from income to different thoughts. So when you talk about being present, you talk about being affirming. Can you go into what that means for you with respect to maybe your own kids, or maybe give some examples of how you would do that in men outside of your home or kids outside of your home?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, for me, not having any boys of my own.
I didn't think about that, Derek, when I asked the question.
This is, I think, a common thing I see around men or young men is lack of eye contact, a lack of self-confidence, and that sort of thing. And so not having boys of my own, my girls are very outgoing and will run up to a stranger and talk, but trying to, as an introvert, I say this, but trying to go up to maybe a young adult or even a guy and look them in the eyes, ask them how they're doing, compliment them on something, try to build them up a little bit as you're interacting with them.
Mm-hmm.
That can stretch out a long way. And especially the younger kids, like I try to be very intentional about saying something to them, looking them in the eye, and like trying to build them up too, because they need to see that from outside people as well.
Mm-hmm.
Investing in the boys that are not mine I'm building up that generation and the pool of potential husband applicants for my daughters. I need to see something from them too. I want them to succeed, because I want my daughters to have husbands that can provide for their family and that can look you in the eye and shake your hand and have skills and coping mechanisms for when things don't go their way. So trying to be involved in the community in that aspect as well, as a secondary to my family, but with that goal in mind of, hey, these are the peers of my own kids, and if my kids are hanging out with them and they're doing bad things, then my kids are going to be guilty as well. So I need them to make good choices just the same as I need my kids to make good choices.
Yeah. Yeah. That's excellent. We've talked about your kids. You are the average of the 5 closest friends that you spend time with. And, or you're the 5th is what I've said, so anyway, that's kind of speaks to what you're talking about. Lee, anything to add before I go on to the next question? Cause I want to pull something Matt said in.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had said, I want my, I want the pool of prospective husbands for my girls to be bigger
and stronger.
Stronger. Yeah. So that's the question. What does a father need to teach his daughter about what a good man looks like? I don't want to ask the same question about what does a father need to, what do boys need from their daughters? So what do girls need from their fathers? Right. I feel like, I want to make this a uniquely, father oriented, and it's not going to be the same question for raising boys and girls. So what does a father need to teach his daughter about what a good man looks like?
Well, this is not an original idea by any means, but with having younger children, being intentional about, as they grow, treating them in a way that when they get to an age that they will be thinking about dating or interest in boys, treating them in such a way that they have a high standard of what they will be looking for, and what they would expect out of a suitable husband one day.
What's that look like?
I mean, being kind, speaking truth to them, but in a way that is not putting them down, and bringing them alongside you, working with them, just interacting with them and involving them. And, it's not the partner in a marriage isn't well, he's a husband. That's it. There's two in a marriage. So they need to see that as well.
How do you feel about, showing affection to your daughter? What does that look like as by way of an expectation for later in life, or compliments, praise? Like, what is how do you all interpret that in the light of this question?
Sure. I mean, I try to compliment as much as I can. Like, man, you look beautiful today. Give them a hug when they do something great, or hold their hands. I mean, my girls specifically, they're always climbing all over me. What they want, cuddle time with dad, and I try to give that to them as much as I possibly can. Sometimes dad is sweaty from work and probably don't want to be hugging on dad right now, but I try to give them to them as needed for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other thoughts?
I want them to feel protected when they're with me, so they can recognize that when they are on a date with a potential husband prospect. If they don't feel protected, then, hey, I don't think we need to continue this relationship. I want them to feel respected and heard, their opinions. I want them to feel like they are the most important thing to that man, because like Lee said earlier, we tell our kids, like, hey, mom and dad come first. And then, you guys, we love you too, but mom's my favorite. And we're on the same team. If mom says you can't have a snack and you come ask dad, dad's going to say the same thing mom did. We're in this together. So I want them to see that teamwork. Even like affection, kissing my wife in front of them. We don't hide that from them. They need to see that. Sometimes I'll put on some music and dance with my wife in the kitchen, or I'll dance with one of my daughters in the kitchen, because I need them to see that behind the strong facade of like, I will protect you and provide for you. I need them to see someone also has the capability of being loving and affectionate. Hopefully these things are sinking in, because I'm not saying that out loud. I'm just dancing with my daughters in the kitchen, and I'm holding their hand when we cross the street, and I'm opening a door for them because it's the nice thing to do and it's helpful for them. So I don't need them to notice it now, but I need them to notice if it's not there when they start looking for a husband.
Yeah. Love that.
Daughters look to marry or we see this, right? Daughters look for characteristics or qualities that their dad has, and you see them marry someone that exhibits those characters or traits sometimes.
Yeah, girls too. They look, or boys too. They look for somebody in their
vice
moms.
versa.
Yeah,
sure. So even more than what we're doing or teaching them, I guess what we're doing and what we're showing them through our relationship with our wives, I think, is almost even more important. And how we show them that we're treating our wives, respecting them, again, laying down our lives. And my goal is to beat the selfishness out of Sammy, my son, right? So that he can
not physically beat him, right? But just
spare the rod, spoil the child
if it's necessary, right? Yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
yes,
I just want to qualify the
yes,
yeah. Just
Indeed.
work through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to like how do you, and there was a whole thing on it on, I don't know, it was a book or something I read probably 10 years ago, but it talks about just like dating your daughters, and a lot like what you were talking about, Derek, right? Tell them they're beautiful, hug on them, love on them, right? And like you said, Matt and Lee, both the giving them an expectation of what that standard is, so that when they see it, they recognize it. They recognize what it feels like to be protected. They recognize what it feels like to be served or whatnot. Who was it? I think Steve Harvey. I heard him say something along the lines of, I say you are beautiful to my daughters because like that guy who comes along and tells her she's beautiful, if she hasn't heard it from me, the first person who tells her that she's beautiful, she's going to give her heart to. And I want my daughters to hear that they're so beautiful so much that when some guy tells them, it's like, well, what else is new? I have a brain too, you know, I have whatever, like there's more to it. You don't need to be impressed by that, but
if I may,
please.
I would say another important attribute, and maybe you have this as another question, I don't know, but between the boys and the girls, they need to see dad and dad's relationship with the Lord as well. They need to see dad singing during worship on Sunday morning, pouring his heart out to the Lord, not saying the words and moving on.
Tough guy.
Not just going to church on Sunday and coming home and you don't see dad reading his Bible or see dad praying, or you don't pray with dad or anything like that. You're not talking about these things. They need to see that. They need to see that that's a priority in a future spouse as well, because that's the most important thing in a marriage.
Yeah.
A good Sorry, go ahead.
I want them to notice if that's not there too in the potential dating pool. I want them to say, hey, it's a red flag that they're not singing in church and they don't read their Bible and they don't pray with me. You know, and just because one of those things doesn't happen on the first date is not grounds for disqualification. But I want them to have that in the back of their minds of like, I need to see something more here because this is what I've grown up knowing, and this is not the expectation.
Yeah.
Society would say, and this is a good qualifier, society would say that the goal of raising children is to create productive members of society. And I think we could probably agree that what we're looking to do is to create productive members of kingdom citizenship, and raise their children to know the Lord. And that's the end all be all.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Okay. We'll turn to another aspect of fatherhood. Should a father try to be his children's friend, or is that the wrong goal?
I already said that.
Oh, you did.
I have told my children, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm your father.
Yeah.
We can do fun things and we have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I love you and I always will.
And you can be friendly and friend-like.
We have a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, life is fun at our house, and it is wild and it is energetic. But when it's time to be done with that, it's time to be done. And I think they understand that.
Yeah.
It just sometimes gets forgotten.
Yeah. Because you all do appear to be aligned on that. What is some evidence that you've seen in society where people have focused too much on being a friend to their kid, and what's the outcome that you've observed?
No discipline.
Lack of respect, yeah. Just not listening when a parent speaks. Like you see that, I see that in public, and it drives me nuts. You know, like that disrespect. You need to be able to give respect to everyone. If you can't give it to your parent, who are you giving it to?
Yeah.
I've heard you say, Chris, that like with boys especially, we'll be best friends when they're 30.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I was actually just thinking about that. So appreciate you throwing that out there. The question I was going to lead into that with was, though, at what point does that perspective shift? Does it shift, and when?
It will eventually.
Yeah.
Because right now you're just your dad that tells them what to do or tells them how you should treat people.
Yeah.
Or, you know, especially when they're really young, because it can feel like a list of do's and don'ts. But as they get older, they start to recognize, I think, hopefully, that there was a method to the madness. You know, dad had a purpose in what he was doing or saying. And eventually, you know, they'll start to see the wisdom in that.
Yeah. I appreciate that so much. My point of reflection on that is when you are married, or when you are, you know, technically an adult, the Bible talks about leaving and cleaving. When you leave my home and build your own home, that's when we'll be friends. You know, you're going to, there's a transition period that it starts. And for our kids, it happened when they turn 18. It happens when they turn 18. Need to probably have this same conversation with people 10, 12, 15 years older than you, and then 10, 12, 15 years older than that for different perspectives here. Bless you. But you know, at 18, we no longer limit phone usage It's literally, you're an adult. What you do now within as an adult is it's your call. You know better. We've taught you better. You know what's right. You know what's wrong. You know what's whatever. You need to be making these choices for yourself. And within the construct of that, at 18, when we start observing your behaviors that don't look like what we've taught you, we ride you like the day is long, but I can't do that when you leave the house, you know what I mean? When you leave and whatnot. So there's a time when I can't say anything to you about it, but while you are an adult and while we've given you a little bit more leash, I'm still your dad and going to be your dad. But when you leave the house, when you cleave and start your own family, hopefully you've realized that there's not there's a method to the madness, as you guys have pointed out, and you want the advice instead of us cramming it down your throat. So, okay. Can you be too involved in your kid's life, and what does that look like?
I think you could be in a negative way. I mean, you could do everything for them.
Okay.
You could spend all of your time with them, which we've covered. There are other responsibilities I have as a provider for our family and as a husband. And you want them to fail at certain things. You don't want to do everything for them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to spend all your time with them, I think I can always be present, but not be doing it.
Yeah.
I can watch them do things. I can assign them tasks, and I'm still around.
Mm-hmm.
But it's up to them to do it, and I need them to know that it is up there. It's the responsibility falls to them.
Yeah.
There's nothing that they can do at this point in their lives, being so young, that I can't come in and save them from.
Right.
They can't really mess up that badly. So failing now is important, I think.
Yeah. Other thoughts or examples of what this looks like?
Not that we've already gone over, I feel like.
I'd ask about helicopter parenting. I don't know how you all feel about that. You know what that is? Yeah.
Kleenex.
We just got to the point where we're starting to have our kids place their items on the checkout line and have the conversation with the cashier, or at a restaurant, which is, it's so infrequent that we're at a restaurant anyway. We try to be intentional when we are, of like, pick out what you want. We'll help you read the menu, pick out what you want, remember that selection. And then when the waiter comes, tell them what you want to drink, tell them what you want to eat. And when they acknowledge you, when they say something nice to you, say thank you. These are important skills to have, and you can't fail. You can't mess it up because I'm sitting right next to you.
Yeah.
But I need you to do it. I need you to show me that you can do it. And at this point, they don't always win, but it's okay because we're learning. Because when they're 18 or when they're 30 and they take their family out, they need to be ordered. They need to be able to order off a menu. They need to be able to check out in a line and have a pleasant, respectful conversation with someone that they don't know.
Yeah. Just very practical living examples here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What would the definition of a helicopter parent be?
Somebody's, I think it's the hoverer, right? I mean, the helicopter is hover. It has the ability to hover. And so they would be hanging out kind of metaphorically right over the top of the kid.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime something is going on, providing an answer, a solution, care, support, whatever, from above, and not letting them live and handle that for themselves.
Yeah.
That's the way I've always understood it to mean. So if you have a different understanding or whatever.
I've always taken it to mean not letting the kid doing anything on their own,
Yeah.
right, without direct supervision that they're going to intervene. I think it's important to let kids do dangerous things supervised.
Yeah.
Let them fail. Let them,
Yeah, potentially hurt themselves, potentially whatever, but
Not permanently.
Show them ways to do things safely and whatnot, and then move on, with the lesson learned. One of my, I don't know, famous. It's not famous. Why do I keep saying famous? It's not famous. One of my examples that is, I was a resident assistant in college, and I had a bunch of kids moving in, freshmen at a freshman floor, and I would go around and introduce myself to the individuals moving in. And I introduced myself to a kid on the floor named Christopher. And I walked in. Hello. What's your name? Christopher, right? And he goes, yeah, hi, I'm Christopher. And I go, hi, Chris. Stuck my hand out to shake his hand. And his mother stepped right in front of him and was going, it's Christopher. Right?
Yikes.
Right? Hands up. Literally. This is an 18-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid, and mom is still calling him, correcting people's Christopher, right? If you don't want to be called Christopher, call Chris or whatever, fine. Yep. I got a Christopher. I'm J. Christopher. This is weird, right? But you don't do that. And then for the sake of the entire conversation, I'd ask him a question, and he would start to respond, and she would answer completely. And that, I don't know, it was just a
Helicopter.
Yeah, just way to.
She did not prepare him adequately for what he was about to encounter.
Correct.
Because when she goes home and he can't make that decision, or even if he's always wanted to speak up for himself, just never having had the practice, I hope that we can not do that for our kids.
Yeah.
I hope that we can let them branch on their own, give them a little bit more responsibility as they get older.
Yeah. We're narrowing down here, family schedule. How do you decide what deserves your family's time when work, church, sports, friends, hobbies, and kids' activities are all competing for it? And you guys have a lot of this going on.
There's only 24 hours in a day, right?
Right? Yeah. And how do you decide what deserves that time across those various activities or topics or ways to spend it?
Yep. I would say, obviously, the time spent with the family is super important, but something that's also very important for me to show my children, especially, is dad needs to go help guys at the church too, or dad needs to go help a buddy work on something at his house too, and dad needs to be involved in this and that. So that's also something that they see in a future spouse, being a husband for my girls, but being involved is an important thing. Having human interaction is an important thing. And you can have a major role in someone's life it doesn't take a lot, really. Mm-hmm. Having a guy come over, Lee came over and trimmed some weeds for me when I was gone on a trip. I asked him just to borrow something. He came and did it. That meant the world. Doing something like that for someone is super important and valuable. And I think the kids need to be able to see that too, and the value in that as well. That way they don't grow up and sit idly, have no impact.
Mm-hmm.
I could say the same for all three of these men sitting here, so I appreciate that. I would say how you prioritize those things, and because each one is competing for your time, that's exactly how you do it. You have to rank them and what is most important. And I've already mentioned the goal in raising our children is to make kingdom citizens. So time at church and being involved is number one. And again, the purpose of Jessica and I's relationship is to point to the covenant relationship that Jesus had with the church and displaying that to our children. So really, if any of those other things, sports, extracurriculars, if any of them overlap or interact with those two things, they're not going to get the time of day compared with the other two.
The verse, iron sharpens iron, very common, but iron can't sharpen iron when iron is by itself. Iron needs something to sharpen it. So it can't do it all alone. So those interactions are very important.
We try to schedule, I think, zoom out a little bit and not take it day by day, but take it more like on a weekly. Like, hey, we know in the winter, Wednesday nights, we are going to be at church. We had to tell one of our kids that she couldn't play fall softball because the team she was going to be a part of, their games were on Wednesday nights. We're like, sorry, we're already committed on Wednesday nights in the fall. And we want them to be involved in some sort of fine art, whether that's music or painting or whatever they want. They can pick, but they need a fine art. They also need a physical, like some sort of sport, whether that's a team-based or an individual-based. We want them to be involved in that.
Set goals, work towards improving themselves physically, whatever.
But we also just recently have had the conversation between my wife and I of like, hey, each one's going to have to pick something because we can't have them doing 3 sports a piece because eventually, right now, we don't have 5 kids that are involved in sports, but eventually we are going to have 5 kids that we require to be involved in some sort of, physical activity.
Yep.
And we can't be traveling to gymnastics and softball and baseball and some sort of jujitsu. I don't know. The options are endless.
Yeah.
We can't have them all doing multiple things.
Yeah.
They're going to have to pick one thing. It would be great if they would all pick the same thing. But I think that's unrealistic too. So we are trying to navigate that right now as they get older because the 2 oldest girls kind of have the freedom right now we're not so tied down. They can kind of explore the options and they can do different things. But we don't want to give them too much freedom because then the other kids are going to say, well, the girls got to try 3 different sports. And now you're telling me I can only do baseball or soccer and I have to pick one or the other. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you because we don't have time to do anything else.
Yeah.
So we don't know what the answer is, but we're trying to figure that out.
Yeah. I'm reflecting on something you said earlier, Lee, and what I'm hearing in your all's reflections on this. You said constant evaluation, just, looking at it and seeing what's most important now. What are we trying to do here? I'm trying to talk. We're trying to narrow the conversation around our time. But as before, we were talking about competing interests across work and family and fatherhood, and if you look too closely or if you study it too hard, if you evaluate every decision, there's a no-win situation. But find that priority order, try to work it and evaluate it regularly. You can be successful. There was a friend of mine, late great Mark Skeens, good buddy of mine, long time ago. He had a hand example. If kind of putting the hand up, like there's God, there's your wife, there's your kids, there's your work, or there's church, and then there's your work, being kind of the priority list that I heard you say, Lee, right? The way he modeled his life was, my relationship with the Lord is first. My relationship with my wife is second. My relationship with my kids and their growth and development is third. Relationship with the church and our interaction with our faith fellowship, fourth, and work is fifth. And the thumb in the hand example is up, just so I'm trying to paint the image for the folks listening. Society would actually invert the hand where it was down, right? So most people think work is most important, then occupying our time at church, then whatever the kids are doing, then my wife, then kind of my relationship with God comes after that. And that, the metaphor as you flip your hand back and forth is kind of like a so-so way of doing things, right? You can't live with a thumb up or down or whatever. You've got to have a priority. So anyway, I hear that in your all's answers, which I think is reasonable and good. What is one thing that genuinely scares you about raising children in a world they're growing up in? And I don't like the question as I read it out loud because I don't believe in being scared. So let me rephrase the question. What is something you're that deeply concerns you about raising children in the world that they're growing up in? Something that causes you deep concern. And again, while you're thinking about the question, just to unpack the reason I don't like the word scared is scared implies that you don't have control. Scared implies that there's no answer, that your fear is justified in a threat that God can't handle. And so I replace the word fear with deep concern because it's right to be concerned about things and prepare for those things. And
it's this is really unrelated to the question you asked, but this is from a quote from the movie After Earth with Will Smith and his son.
Okay.
So it's kind of silly where it comes from, but I adopted it in the way that I tell our children that fear is a choice. Danger is very real, but you have a choice whether or not to be afraid of it. And being brave, kids always, the hero is portrayed, and being brave is such a elevated thing, but being brave literally means to be concerned or afraid to do something and choosing to do it anyways.
yeah.
In the face of that or in light of it.
Yeah. I love that. Used the same analogy with the term integrity, right? In person of integrity understands the consequence that's about to happen if a decision or action is taken and makes it anyway.
And does it anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Same with confidence, right? Confidence comes when you know what you should be doing, work your way into it, and a result is produced. It doesn't mean that you're confident
Right.
as a end all.
Right.
So anyway, excellent aside and clarifier there. So one thing that genuinely concerns you about raising children in a world they're growing up in.
Just the daunting task of preparing them for the world. But I also realize we're not facing anything any other generation of parents has not faced.
Yeah.
Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, there's nothing new under the sun.
Yes. Now the specifics may be a little different, but generally, 100 years ago, yes, the parents then were worried about the dollar deflating by the time their kids were grown, and they were worried about the increase in technology. It looked a lot different, but it was still a concern. They were worried about the population of their towns and their cities. They were worried about the increase in crime. They were worried about politics. All these things that we concern ourselves with of the world, it's not new.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways, it's reassuring to know that, like, multiple times over the history of humanity, we've thought the world was ending.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe now we think, hey, the world might be ending. Our kids might not have the same future that we have, the comfortable life that we've come accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
Or it may be hundreds of years from now when something drastically changes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's not up to me. And what I try to do is not spend my time worried about it or afraid of it, but just to try to prepare my kids for what they may face.
Mm-hmm.
And do the best to be present with them so they're ready for adulthood.
So to make sure I heard you correctly, I asked a question about what concerns you the most. You're concerned about nothing because
I'm concerned about everything that other parents throughout history have been concerned with, but I'm not afraid of any of it because it's not new.
Yeah, excellent.
And
You
other
summarized
parents
it better than I could. So thank you.
other parents have made it through, and other children have made it through for generations.
Yeah.
Why would I worry about something that I have no control over, other than knowing that our God is in control,
Mm-hmm.
and that I'm going to do the best I can to be present with my family and train them to deal with some of these things that they may encounter.
Yeah. Brilliant. Other thoughts, guys?
I would echo that. The deepest concerns I have are for things that I don't have control over.
I guess that's where faith comes in.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked this question in The Deep Dark Secret. When I kind of put these things together is I'm worried that my kids are not going to be better than me, and I don't know how to make them better than me because this is all I got. You know what I mean? And so it's a faith question there in the same answer, right? But it's just a personal reflection that you want so much more for your kids than, and the experiences, and then, to navigate the world in a way that you didn't. And, may the Lord bless that.
If I could choose for my kids to have a life similar to mine, why wouldn't I? I mean, because I know all the trials that I've gone through, and I know how to navigate those looking back, and I know what the right answers I picked, and I know the wrong answers, but their world is different, and their lives are going to be different, and their trajectories and where they end up and their challenges are going to be different. So I think there's just some reliance upon your faith, and I mean, there's no way you can prepare for everything.
True. I'd offer another perspective there, though, and it was a book or podcast I was listening to recently that talked about how, though, like, name a time in your life where you grew when there wasn't some form of adversity. So whether or not it's adversity that you've experienced or adversity that they're experiencing, right? Like, adversity is going to come, and they're going to grow as a result of that. And so trying to keep them from that adversity is a kind of a fool's errand too, right? So
It goes back to letting them fail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Derek, anything to add here?
Well, I was just Matt brought this up earlier. This is what came to mind, but he said he'd be okay with being David's dad, right? And as far as expectations with kids, when you were talking about that, what came to mind was you might be raising another David's dad. David obviously rose up and did great things. He went through a lot of adversity doing these things and dealt with a lot. But it's okay to raise a David's dad who's trying to raise a David,
Yeah, that's wonderful perspective. And I'm thinking about the early, I think it's Matthew, the book of Matthew, that starts with the lineage of Christ. And, if you have kind of studied the Old Testament in such a way that you understand the different generations that are listed in that first, chapter or whatever, there's many lives that are chronicled in the Old Testament reflected in the list that goes from, Adam to Jesus, that are nondescript. So I'd be comfortable with that too.
Yeah.
There are a lot of names you've never heard of in that list.
Yeah.
A lot of names that don't have stories surrounding them,
Mm-hmm.
and may have done great things in their time, but we will never know.
Right.
And I'm okay with being one of those obscure names on the list.
Right.
I'd say greatness and the number one hope as being a parent is raising my children to come to know the Lord, and that is the biggest hope I could have for them.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thing they can ever do is fall at the feet of Jesus. That's the biggest hope I can have.
Yeah. Well, you all are leading, and you've done this the entire way through here, but that's the legacy question. 20 years from now, when your kids look back at their childhood, what do you hope they say about the kind of father that you were? I'm hearing that reflection in your answer there, Derek.
Yep.
So I'll just leave that question there as our final one.
You hear John Weir talk about legacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I are first generation parents, both being believers. That's what I want my family to look like. Many tears down the road here is, chapter of my kids raising faithful kids and doing great things for the kingdom and loving the Lord, and that's it.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Other thoughts?
Summarized it well.
Yeah. Any particular thoughts around kids reflecting on the type of father that you were? Just thinking about that. I'm almost leading that question here as just again for the sake of those listening. I am 46, born in 80. Lee, 92.
92.
So that makes you 34.
30. I'll be 34 this month.
Yeah, August. That's right.
Yeah.
And Matt,
36.
36, and you're 28.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 10 to 12 years older. 22-year-old is my oldest. Your oldest is 7.
7.
So 14 years ahead of you.
9.
Yeah, okay. So 11 years ahead of you. There were things there's things I didn't know to know, and things I didn't understand or think to consider what my kids would think of me when I was raising kids your age. And so if we don't do it here and now, and I just encourage listeners to think about who you were as a father when your kids are 6 and what you want them to remember, because you have time to do that. I'm, so much older than you guys, and to have some of these thoughts just now, it's like, oh man, I screwed some stuff up. I wish I could go back and make changes, but anyway, those are I just ask maybe, what do you hope that they think about the kind of father you were at this age? And we'd spend some time with that. Do you have any thoughts on that? What do you want them to look back and say, my dad was always fill in the blank?
I hope that they see both their parents love the Lord and loved each other and loved them. And all of the other silly things I did to maybe not be a great dad, I hope that they can, forgive me for those but see that, the intention was good and the grounding was in the Lord, and we're trying to do the best we can with what we got. I mean, there's no playbook on this. There's no manual. You have a baby in the hospital, and then, the first couple of days is easy because the nurses are taking care of everything and taking care of your wife, and you're just kind of sitting there eating from the cafeteria. Yeah. And then they send you home, and I'm like, now what? Mm-hmm. And it's the same with all 5 of them. I'm just, now what do we do? Mm-hmm. And they've all been different, and we've had to learn each child's different qualities and their strengths and weaknesses and how we can parent them differently to be effective.
Yeah. Other thoughts?
I don't think so.
No?
Yeah, I'll echo that. Just that they would look back and recognize my relationship with the Lord, Jessica's relationship with the Lord, and the rest will work itself out.
Yeah. Hope they have they attribute the good things to the Lord, and they forget everything else.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so that's it. Is there anything we've talked about or haven't talked about that you think we should talk about for the sake of the topic and the context here?
What's your advice as a 10-year senior here?
He's just shaking his head.
My family looks... So we are similar to your family, just 10 years later. A bunch of kids, boys and girls mixed. We're trying to do the best we can here. We see a lot of good things in your family that we want our family to have. Trajectory wise. What advice do you have for us sitting here, but also younger listeners that are starting families?
Great question. I think that's my job in this seat, to curate content that will help you with that question. I don't know that I'm
I would also like to preface this to say that you have been critical of yourself and feel that you've not been intentional in ways. You're one of the most intentional fathers I know.
Thank you. I'm not trying to fish here. I'm more just reflecting on, you can be intentional as the day is long, and the road. Have you ever heard the road is paved with good intentions?
Road to hell is paved with good intentions.
That's the part that people often leave out, right? The road is paved with good intentions, and you kind of walk on that, right? But I think the original etymology of that was the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And so, the second you start making it about your own intentions and your own work and your own everything is the second you miss grace, and the second you don't fully understand mercy, and the second you feel like a failure all the time, right? So, but again, part of me is had you guys on for the sake of asking you questions to help you be ready to see and to prove to people your own age that it is possible for you guys to live and lead families at your respective ages, to give kids who are 10 years younger than you hope for what it looks like when you get there. And then I take the question, and I'm thankful for the perspective, honestly, but I take the question and I'll use that to fill the seats that you're sitting in with more qualified people than me to answer it. Because they're out there. But I think more specifically to your question, you're doing it in the question. Find somebody 10 years ahead of you who looks like you, who looks like the life that you want to lead, and invite them into your life. Share your struggles with them. Openly ask for constructive criticism. Ask them about what was good, not so good, what they do differently, and find ways to navigate. But I will say this, I'm very, very encouraged by the answers that y'all have provided today. And again, this is the reason that we had you on. No notes, no script. If I give you this stuff ahead of time, people would say, oh, they had time to script their answers. They had time to think about these things or whatever. I mean, this is raw. This is, you literally got no.
It's the same way we do parenting.
Yeah.
We're just winging it.
Exactly. And so yeah, I mean, I've done an unfiltered motherhood preschool edition, right? If I were to title episodes presently, I'd probably call this unfiltered fatherhood in a different way. But I mean, I've gotten a lot of good feedback on these types of conversations and how beneficial they've been just from practical application. And so my next group of ladies to talk with are people who are raising high schoolers, and then maybe those people who've moved kids out of the house and into college, and then, so maybe some grandparent types who've got extended families and legacy type building stuff. There's no end to the supply of great examples and of good families and relationships just right here in our area. So I don't know, very politically with dodge of that question, but
we do have
appreciate you asking it.
We do have a lot of good resources in our area. Find somebody that you look up to for whatever reason, and figure out what they're doing right. And if it comes down to just straight up asking them, hey, I want to be like this. I see this in you and I want to be like this. How can we set ourselves up for success in this area?
Yeah.
And generally people are open to helping, especially in our community here in Lawson. It seems like there's a lot of people that I look up to for various reasons, whether it's their career or their kids or their marriage, their hospitality, things that we want to implement as we mature and as we, become more ingrained in this community.
Yeah.
How do we do that? And you're not alone. You don't have to figure it out by yourself.
Right. Takes a village.
People have done this.
Yeah.
And they can help you.
Yeah. Yeah. Classic. There is nothing new under the sun. Okay. Well, let's leave it there. Thank you.
Thanks
Lee,
for having us.
Matt,
Thank you.
Derek, you guys are awesome. And for all of you listening, this has been the Son of the Law podcast, and hope you have a good rest of your day. You've listened to enough of the episodes to know what the goes, and Matt and Lee have been here doing it, so we got it. Are you nervous, Derek? Do you get nervous of anything?
Yeah, for sure.
When was the last time you were nervous?
About 10 minutes before getting over here in the car.
Was it about this?
Yeah, there's always a possibility of saying something stupid. So here we are.
With me, there's a guarantee.
You're going to pull that a little closer there, Matt.
I don't want to hit your coffee cup here.
Yeah, and up, I think probably. There you go.
Oh,
Yeah, just bend it. It'll eventually. There you go. That's the stuff.
Better to be silent and be thought a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Is that a proverb? There it is. Do you know what proverb that is?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I've heard it.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually that's a paraphrase. That's not the actual proverb. It's very close though.
Yeah, I heard it said, keep quiet and be thought a fool, open your mouth and prove it. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that's right either.
Yeah, the
So-
actual proverb is like, not that. Even a fool is thought wise when he closes his lips. It's very close, but
So you're still going to talk though, right?
I have to. So I'm going to be made a fool.
Well, I'll tell you this, just here before we get started, you're not safe. This is not a safe place. I intend to use your words against you.
I'm not nervous anymore.
have you started doing
Expectations been set.
like YouTube shorts or sound bites of just people saying dumb things on your podcast?
I need to. There's so many things that would benefit the channel or whatever that I just haven't quite
You could do some
made
clips,
time for.
like even the good, just some quick clips of certain good things. Recently, like the John Weir podcast. I mean, there's some wisdom in there that you could just clip a 10-second piece of him saying something, and I'd be like, now I got to listen to that.
Now
whole
I got to
episode.
listen to the whole thing. There's my kids have actually said that. There's other people who've listened to other podcasts that have talked about how that's how they got to know who they were listening to or whatever. So I appreciated it. I'll take the counsel.
You could clip the part where I say, wives submit to your husbands, and that would be fun.
Just loop it over and over.
I don't know. That might make me cause several lost followers.
Maybe.
Early in the podcast, I was counting subscribers and watching them go up and down and everything like that. And I don't know. I'm not doing that anymore. Now I just say whatever we want to say. All right, let's get started.